You dickhead.
Going
That's fine now. Hello and welcome. It's a slightly different set of what you're used to. The World Cup fever is very much in full swing. I mean, you got your usual suspect up there, big man Sani there. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right. Listen, I'm wearing the Messi shirt. Got to represent, man. Got to represent.
That stash is looking stronger than Argentina's back line. We've got Mr. Sam down there as well. How you doing, mate?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm putting on a cool face, but I am bricking it inside. This is very exciting. I'm happy to be here.
No, we're happy to have you as well. And of course, we have man of the hour, Zeke. How are you, my man?
I'm all right, thank you. And it is not going to come home. I'm sorry, but it's not.
Straight in there. I like that. I do like that. Well, speaking of, I mean, you definitely just upset Sam there. But speaking of upsets, I mean, we've had a couple so far already through this World Cup. I think chief amongst them definitely is Argentina and that Saudi Arabia result. Seeing as he's the guy wearing the shirt, I want to come to him first. So, Sani, take it away, my man. How did you feel when Argentina fumbled it to Saudi Arabia?
Realistically, I don't think it's humbling. If you think about it, we're in Qatar. The weather is stupendous, in the words of Chris Eubank Sr. The conditions favour Saudi Arabia. Now, if you ask me personally, if you've got an Arab country playing an Arab state, I'm going to favour the Arabs. So I don't see how it's an upset. I said to you, group of death, Argentina, Mexico, Poland, Saudi Arabia. Listen, at the end of the day, Messi did what Messi could do. The players weren't good enough. And we are where we are. It's not an upset. An upset is what happened, let's say a couple of years ago when, what's his name? Germany lost to Algeria in 1982. That's what
a couple of years ago.
Right?
It's a bit more than a couple of years ago, my friend.
Senegal, 2002, beating France. I don't personally think this is an upset, but listen, the GOAT is the GOAT, and he will come back and he will prove to you boys, who Mexico next round, why he's the GOAT. So that's all I've got to say about that.
I mean, that's fighting talk. I mean, Zeke, he says it's not an upset. What do you think? Was it an upset?
I think it was. Yeah, it was. I mean, I think they were ranked the lowest, aren't they, out of all of the teams? I'm pretty sure, which doesn't really look too good, I don't think.
Yeah, the performance was a bit meh. I mean, Sam, what did you think of the overall performance from Argentina in that game, considering the amount of star power that they have on paper in that squad?
I think when you compare the two teams straight away, I mean, I wouldn't imagine that any of the four of us are massive fans of the Saudi League or watch many of those players week in, week out.
Of course.
One of the things that I would like to add as well is they have run tests. I don't know how they've done these tests or worked it out via stats and whatnot. And this ranks as the biggest World Cup upset of all time. Just want to leave that out there. So the performance in general, very strong first half, to be fair. They obviously had the 3 disallowed goals, narrow offsides as well. But all in all, I think defensively, Saudi Arabia were brilliant. I was not expecting that performance from them. As I said, I didn't really know what to expect going into it. But defended brilliantly, managed the game really, really well. And Messi fumbled the bag.
Yes, he definitely did somewhat fumble the bag. I mean, we won't drag too much into Sale's misery any further, but we'll jump on to the next upset, which was quite a significant upset too, with Germany and Japan. I'll come to you first, Zeke. What did you think of this result? I mean, did you expect Japan to be as strong and fighty as they were?
I think that people sort of didn't really expect too much. I mean, I didn't expect a lot, but I knew that you couldn't really, write them off early because anything can obviously happen in this. And it's, but I mean, I don't think this is as big as the Argentina game. I feel like Germany aren't quite at that level. They haven't been at their highest for a while now. So I don't think it was that big an upset.
Say it louder. They haven't been the same. Say it louder. I want that guy on the bottom to hear that.
No, that's fair, because I remember we were discussing this before the tournament kicked off, and I did say to Sale, I think this tournament is one tournament too soon for Germany under Hansi Flick. I mean, Sam, what do you think? It's obviously a new sort of era for Germany, having had Joachim Löw in for so long. So, what do you think about this this move across into this new era under Hansi Flick?
It's definitely a transitional phase, that goes without saying. Interesting that they've stuck with Lowe for as long as they have. I know that there's sort of mixed feelings about him in the German camp, but yeah, it's a bit of a mess, really, their team. I think that you've got the likes of Havertz and striker, who, as a Chelsea fan myself, seeing him play that position week in, week out is a painful watch half of the time. I think there's a good player in there, but he's just not suited for that position. So there's some wiggle room there in terms of the personnel that they've got. I think they've got quality in that team, though. It was a surprise, and hence the reason why we're talking about it in the upsets. But, you've got the likes of Gnabry, Sane, Muller is still a good player. There was enough power in that team to win. And that's not throwing Japan under the bus, because they've got good players in good leagues as well. But it was certainly a shock, and it's going to be interesting to see how they respond, to be fair. Same for Argentina as well. I think this next game is crucial for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's almost a do or die point. I mean, I know he's rearing to bring it up. So, Sani, give us your thoughts on the situation with Germany, where you think they go from here.
So, as we know, in Birmingham at the moment, they're the Christmas German markets. It's the festive period, goodwill, all of that. Normally, you get a lot of big bratwursts in these German markets. Unfortunately, Germany didn't have the 10-inch bratwurst in that game against Japan. They had a little 2-inch bratwurst, right? Nothing was going on in that game, right? There was no anime. There was pure hentai going on, right?
Jesus,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But Japan, they took Germany to the sword, and I love to see it. At the end of the day, 2020, we all know what happened in that game, the round of 16, England versus Germany. Your boys got smashed. You got smashed to bits in this one, and you're going home again at the group stages. Listen, Germany can't get it done in Russia. You know that. We've seen the world wars. It never happens. We saw last year in the World Cup, it didn't happen. And you know what? It's not going to happen in Qatar either. You can do all your performative gestures all you want. At the end of the day, that is a massive, massive L. Japan were great, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, when you face the samurai, when you face that reliable engine that is in a Honda coming up against maybe an unresponsive rear-wheel drive in a BM, I'm going to take the Honda every single day of the week. That's exactly what happened this time, because Japan showed you boys what it's all about to play the beautiful game, and I can't wait to see Germany go out at the next round.
I like the use of the Japanese car, but I'm pretty sure you had a Toyota once upon a time, so come on, big up the Toyota, man. No, I do agree. I think it was a poor performance from Germany in that game specifically, and their tournament performances as of late have not really been up to par. But I do think that Hansi Flick is the right guy to sort of usher in this new era with a new squad, and I think they will get it going eventually. But I don't think this is the tournament. But group stage exit, I think they'll just scrape through behind Spain in second. But Japan were fantastic. That definitely has to be said. I'm very excited to see where they go as well, because there's plenty of good players in that squad as well. Moving on from Germany and over to two guys who in here are actually wearing the shirts as well. England obviously put in a beating on Iran in their opening game. Plenty to talk about in that one. Sam, I'll come to you first. But what was your highlight from this 6-2 victory over Iran?
There are 6 to choose from, and it was spoiled for choice, really. I think we played brilliantly, but the moment that stuck out for me, I don't know why I went for Brummie accent when I said stuck then, but the moment that stuck out for...
You speak English, you get the Brummie accent coming through.
The moment that stuck out for me was when Callum Wilson came off the bench, squared it to Grealish late on in the game. I think if that was me in that situation, yeah, it's brilliant. If that was me in that situation, if I fluked my way into Gareth's World Cup squad, I'd be blasting that probably over the bar, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I thought that was very unselfish, yeah. And I think it just shows the level of team spirit in the England camp, especially for the newcomers as well. I mean, this is Callum Wilson's sort of first major tournament, and he's come off the bench for Harry Kane, who thankfully is looking a lot. The injury is looking better than we thought. Come off the bench in your first major game for England, and to have the composure to not blaze it over the bar or try and go for goal, he has unselfishly squared it. And the celebration for Grealish as well was brilliant as well. I'm sure we've all seen that over social media. But strong start, and a lot of people say it's only Iran, and fair enough. Obviously, they're not one of the higher ranked teams in the tournament, but there's still quality in that team. Obviously, there's Taremi, who scored twice, if I remember rightly. and obviously scored that overhead kick against Chelsea. He's haunting me at the moment, but yeah, I think that there's enough quality in that team for us to do well, and I'm more optimistic than I was about England going into the tournament. But I don't know about what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a positive performance, continuing to build on what has been strong tournament showings in the last few as well. I'll come to you, Sani. I mean, we just touched on Harry Kane there. Obviously, picked up an injury in what was I'd say a somewhat subdued performance for him. You know, he didn't get in and amongst the goals as they were flowing in. Did pick himself up, I believe, 2 assists. But what do you think about the situation around his injury? Of course, I think he picked up an ankle knock and was left on the field for, I think, 15 to 20 minutes after it occurred. I know a lot of pundits are criticising Southgate for that. What's your take on it? Should there be concern in the camp? Do you think Southgate's playing mind games in the press?
In the words of Danny Dyer, I am shitting myself because I'm sorry. Harry Kane is done. I personally think we have some major trouble because he's very key for us. I mean, look at the second goal. Was it the second goal or third goal? I've lost count, to be honest with you, but it was a Sterling goal, right? When he put that ball in, he didn't even look into the box. He put it right into the area. You know the danger area. Put it in. Sterling scored. We don't really have a striker like that who does that. I like Callum Wilson. You know, he was obviously not selfish when he squared the ball to Grealish. We lack a striker. Why did we not take Ivan Toney? He's another option that would have come off the bench, given this injury with Kane. We know Kane tends to be quite injured a lot, especially for Spurs. Listen, I think you've got to look ahead. Yeah, fine, it's preventative. But if you look ahead to this World Cup, you should have took another striker. And we are where we are. But at the end of the day, I see in Sam's background, he's got a lot of electric guitars. The way I look at this English team, I see stars everywhere. And in the words of Jack Black from School of Rock, we got Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Motorhead. Oh, God. Honestly, I am loving this team. We're going to go all the way. I believe it's coming home as well, even though I've got an Argentina shirt on. But we won't talk about that. And you know what? What better way to end it with It's Coming Home by asking the man Zeke, who's got one of the best England shirts I've seen in a while. Even he knows. I mean, he might have said it's not coming home, but deep down, in the crevices of his heart, like the Grand Canyon, he's finding some little spark that says it's coming home.
Yeah, Zeke. I mean, come on, give us your thoughts. If worst case scenario, right? Harry Kane gets ruled out for a certain number of games. You know, what would you line up your attack with, given that we have got Callum Wilson in the squad there, as Sani mentioned. There is Rashford who could also play down the middle. You know, there's options there. So, you know, how would you line it up if you were Southgate going forwards, knowing that Kane's got a very iffy injury record?
I feel like a lot of us would do something different to what Southgate would do. Like, I think we've got that capability to be a bit more, to sort of mix it up a bit. And not really have a striker that is a striker, because you could in theory play Sterling there, but not as a sort of out and out. It would be a bit more like that. And I feel like you've got a player like Rashford there who has played up front quite a lot, but the issue with him is he's not played an awful lot recently. He has been good, but I don't know whether I would trust starting him. I'm not too worried. I feel like we will get the goals even without having a proper striker. But obviously then it will just depend on who we're going to be playing against if we obviously get out of the groups. But I feel like we are fine. I would personally go for Sterling if that is actually going to happen. And then you've got a little bit more things there because you can go with, there's obviously like 3 or 4 other players that you could then mix and match. And I think it's fine. Because Kane doesn't really play like a proper striker anyway. He's always like dropping deep.
I mean, we've got a comment here from Michael Desi saying spot on Sterling or Foden at false time. We didn't see Foden or much of him in that game. Sam, do you think Foden should be thrown into the mix a bit more than he was in that opening game?
I'll be completely honest, as I've said, I'm a Chelsea fan. I was very surprised to see Mount starting over Foden. Hypocritical because I'm wearing a Mount shirt at the moment. I think Mount, before we get into Foden, Mount I think is very, very good. He puts in the dirty work, he does the yards, and I think his progressive passing in the last game was very, very good. But like I said, I was very surprised that we didn't go for Foden, especially considering the form he's in. I don't know if I would necessarily play him in striker. I think, obviously, you mentioned about Rashford playing in striker. Again, obviously, he hasn't played a lot for us recently, or just in general recently. I think he would be my man that I'd pick to play in striker. But yeah, I'd love to see more of Foden, and I expect to see that in the remaining games to come.
And what about you, Sonny? Where do you sit on the Foden Sterling false nine chat?
Well, it's interesting because there's many options. I like Foden as a false nine. I think he can do it there. The problem with, I think, playing Sterling there is you need a proper winger, I think, as a result. And if you don't play if you play Sterling down the middle, I think I'm trying to think. Saka obviously is going to start. It means you have to play Rashford. And I mean, yeah, going forward, that's great. But I don't know. I just think there's something lacking there. I don't think Sterling personally can drop as deep as someone like Foden who can create, which is what Kane tends to do. I mean, personally, I wouldn't put Rashford as a striker. We all know he loves, the whole thing with, feeding people's children and stuff. And he probably liked the whole idea of having train strikes. But, as a striker, to strike with England, I just don't think it works. But, I mean, I play Foden personally. I like Foden. I'm the same with my man Sam. I'm surprised Mount did start over Foden. And it's interesting to see how it's going to be playing out. Because I remember last year, everyone got the Foden trim thinking he was going to be Gaza in 96. And I'm pretty sure Foden was pretty poor, to be honest. Everyone's just begging for his Man City form to happen for England. But will it happen? I don't know. I mean, we all know Kevin De Bruyne's Man City form doesn't really translate for Germany. Sorry, Belgium. Germany. I'm still thinking about Germany, but Belgium. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Zeke, I saw you agreeing about the Mount shout there. Where do you sit on this debate of whether Foden or Sterling can be played as a false nine? And what are your thoughts on Mason Mount, of course, as well? He's definitely a figure that divides opinion in the England camp.
Yeah, I feel like Mount is just one of those guys that Southgate loves, and he'll always be there, even if he's not quite on it. But I mean, I think it is fine. I personally wouldn't have had him in there, just based off how he's been the past 6 months or so. But I think it is all right. Yeah, sort of false nine would work. I'm not sure about who would be okay in there though, because it's not like that's what we have. I don't think we've ever played that. I think it's always been with an out and out striker. So I don't know whether he will actually want that. I feel like he would just get us like an actual striker in, whether that's Rashford or whether that's Callum Wilson, who I don't think is really going to be good enough to start. So yeah, but you could play someone like Foden in there. Maddison would work if he was fit, I think, but I don't know when he is due back. That is quite a big miss, I think, in terms of that creativity. Yeah,
I mean, Sean's raised a good point. What about the next Thierry Henry? He's got number 14 at Arsenal. What about
I was waiting to bring that up.
That's an interesting shout. Big Eddie Nketiah. He's had some good form for Arsenal, especially over the last little bit. What do you guys think of Eddie Nketiah? Would he have been a rogue shout? Do you reckon he would have got enough minutes, or do you think the fact that Wilson was called up sort of ahead of folks like this was a good call? I'll come to you first, Sonny.
Listen, right. I might have said he's the next Thierry Henry for Arsenal, but if Ivan Toney isn't going to come into it, fine. I think it was Devon Macker might have mentioned it, or Didier, I think, mentioned it about how Ivan Toney couldn't go because he was banned by the FA. But what about Tammy Abraham? Surely he was a shout over Eddie Nketiah. He's getting
questionable form at Roma right now, though. He's had a very poor start to the season.
I'm gonna let Sam, the resident Chelsea fan, talk about Tammy Abraham, because even he knows he should have brought him along.
Bear with
Look,
me.
Yeah, I
just a
don't
second.
necessarily disagree. I do think Tammy Abraham on paper is a fantastic player, but
And then here we go, Devin Mackham. I think it's mental Tamori didn't get.
yeah, again, this is what I was going to ask next.
Oh,
You know, in terms of players who didn't necessarily get called up, so who was the surprise sort of ignored man per se? Could we go with Sam? Who was your surprise sort of guy that was left at home?
I've just whipped out the Tammy Abraham shirt, but I'm not going to say
That your
Tammy
shout?
Abraham. I'm going for I think Tamori is insane.
A mental one to leave out.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I think Ben White is a very good option. I'm surprised, but also not surprised at the inclusion of Harry Maguire. But I do think that there had to have been some room for Tamori. I can't remember all the England centre backs off the top of my head to say who I would have taken out to put him in.
There's plenty of them, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Tamori, I can't believe that he's not there. I think I would have taken Callum Wilson ahead of Tammy Abraham because, like you mentioned, his form at Roma hasn't been great. Big lover of Tammy Abraham, and I think last season he had a very strong season, but this season hasn't been great. I'd say probably those two, the ex-Chelsea boys, a little bit biased probably. Maybe Ivan Toney as well. I would have liked to have seen, but I think he stuck a couple grand on himself not making it. Refused the call up. So,
Jesus. Oh, geez, yeah, took a bit of a gamble there. Zeke, who was your surprise sort of guy that was left at home? Who did you think deserved it and didn't get it?
Yeah, Tamori, I would say, but then also I was expecting him not to be picked because all of us know that there were going to be players like Cody, Dyer, who are obviously going to make it, even if they've not been. I mean, Dyer started off well. He hasn't been very good recently, but Tamori as well. Apparently, I mean, I've not really watched him. He's not been quite as good as he was last year. So maybe that's why. But there's probably quite a bit of Premier League bias, isn't it? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the argument was that Southgate probably based it on that Chelsea performance over those Champions League games, and then there's the argument of, well, I doubt he tunes into what JC Milan versus Monza in Serie A. But yeah, I mean, it's a surprise one for me. I would have said Tamori as well, but Sani, who would you have said was your surprise ignored call?
in the words of a great man, I'd have gone with Pep Guardiola because he brought a bar, a style of play. You give for this country. You cry for this country. And at the end, they give nothing. Honestly, for me personally, all jokes aside, I would have gone with James Ward-Prowse only because I've always liked the idea of having a player that dictates the tempo, spreads the ball here, spreads the ball there, opens the legs of the defense, puts the ball through the middle, right? I love that idea personally, right? Of having that tempo style player. I've always said it. If you're going to play a three in the middle in a tournament, you want someone who holds, you want someone who dictates the tempo, and you want someone who's more box to box, a bit more advanced. And I think he gives you that option. But as Zeke said, as Sam said, will he potentially play 4-3-3 again? I can't even see it. So, yeah, I mean, we've seen a comment here. Trent, I mean, he was picked, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure he's in the squad. I'm pretty sure Trent is in the squad.
He's in the squad, yeah.
Chatting complete crap. So,
You know,
at the end of the day, I'd have gone James Ward-Prowse, but listen, I'm not getting paid the big bucks to manage England. And, you know, at the end of the day, he got England to a final last time round. Who knows? It could happen this year as well, you know? So, I mean, right centre mid, Trent, I don't personally see it, but yeah, that's just me.
I mean, this is something I wasn't initially going to bring up, but seeing as you've kind of just mentioned it, obviously Southgate's performances in tournaments thus far has been pretty solid, and you know, some questionable form in other competitions like the Nations League, which drew him a lot of criticism over the last few months. But if so, just for argument's sake, let's just say England go out, say round of 16, something like that, quarterfinals. Do you think that's enough to send him packing? Do you think that he'll step away from the position if they were to drop out early, considering they are up and amongst the favourites right now? Sam, I'll come to you first. Do you think that anything in and around that kind of level of performance is enough to see Southgate sent?
I think so. Unfortunately, I think so. There's a lot of people that aren't massive Southgate lovers anyway, which is fair enough. Everybody's got their own opinion. But I think, football aside, a lot of people don't like negative football or defensive football, whereas again, being a Chelsea fan, growing up with Jose Mourinho and managers like that who will stick as many men behind the ball, I've learned to admire the beauty of it. And I think that there is a fairly decent tactical presence there with Southgate. I think that his main abilities come with man management and harmonising the squad together, which he's done like no other recent England manager has done for a long time. And his CV of late, a final, semi-final in the last two major competitions, Nations League aside, he's done very well for us when called upon. And I think that now the only hurdle left for him to sort of jump over is to bring home some silverware. And I think, an early exit, you could argue his performances of late could save him, but I feel like that should be and probably will be the end of Southgate, and time for someone else to sort of take reign of England. But we'll see what happens.
What about you, Zeke? Do you think he's built up enough credit in the bank? Should England have a bit of a nightmare at any point?
I think he has, because it's only recently that we actually, it was the Euros, wasn't it? And did that end up being last year? That was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether one bad tournament then means that he's off. And also, who are you going to replace him with? I mean,
Stevie G. I'm joking.
Tommy T.
I'm not really big on him, but I just don't see it happening. I mean, I would personally have Eddie Howe, but he isn't going anywhere now. So, I don't think it will happen. No.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. I mean, I'm pretty sure I did see some statements or some news reports prior to the tournament that he said, regardless as to how it goes, he may be considering his future in the job. So it'd be interesting to see how it pans out post tournament. Wherever England do end up finishing. But speaking of contenders, we've had a fair few, show themselves in both good and bad light this far as well. And we've just had the last batch of teams play with Brazil and Serbia having just finalised their game. So I'll come to you first, Sam. Who is it do you really feel is an early contender?
England aside, I was very impressed with Spain, obviously. Absolute thrashing of Costa Rica. I didn't expect that, from being completely honest. I thought we've seen quite a few 0-0s, a few too many for my liking. And I wasn't sure whether it was going to be a battle of the two goalkeepers and whether or not it was going to be a bit of a snorefest for that reason. But no, Spain going forward looked fantastic. They looked great in the Euros as well. Carried that form in clearly. And I was very impressed with them. I think Brazil as well were my favourites to probably win before the tournament. A good performance tonight against a resilient Serbia squad. So I'd say...
Richarlison masterclass, who you called mid prior to the recording. Just so like to point that
out. That was really annoying and really unfortunate timing. But
do not disrespect Richarlison ever again.
Yeah, I'll bite my tongue next time.
Zeke, what about you? Who's really sort of surprised you early doors as someone that could potentially go on and win the damn thing?
I would say Spain. I wasn't expecting much at all, really, because it's not like they've got a striker. But we all know Spain. They don't always really have a striker, do they? So they will make do with whatever. But I think watching them, they were really, really nice. Like it's the sort of typical Spain that everyone loves, and it's just quick and just lovely. And I mean, I didn't really think too much of them. I have them in the sweepstake, which is quite nice. So I am hoping that if it isn't England, then it is Spain, because I've not seen too much of anyone else to really make much of a sort of judgment yet. I mean, Brazil looked really good earlier, but then you're looking at Argentina, who were and probably are up there as one of the contenders, but we all know what's actually happened there. Germany, not sure they were really ever up there, and then you have France, who looked pretty good as well. So I would say either Spain or France, and then Brazil. up there.
3 very good shouts there, definitely. I mean, we've seen 2 shouts for Spain there, Sani. I mean, the same sort of sentiments were echoed by both Sam and Zeke there. That on paper, coming into the tournament, the squad looked pretty iffy, especially in the way of goals. They still managed to score 7 in their opening game, which, if I'm not mistaken, is actually not far off their record for when they won it back in 2010. I think they won off their total for that entire tournament, and they did that in 1 game. Obviously, Costa Rica were utter dross. That is worth noting. They were absolutely awful. But where do you think Spain can go? Do you think it's too early to call them favourites? Do you reckon that they all get sort of evened out somewhere along the tournament when they face someone that's a bit more, well, a better quality in that sense? Especially with a striker like Morata up front, who his consistency is questionable and sometimes looks like he couldn't score in the red light district, let alone anywhere else. What do you think? Do you reckon Spain can do it?
It's interesting. I mean, the Spanish Armada on their full fleet, 7-0. We all know that. What happens when you dice up chorizo? The taste tends to go a bit away. The mold tends to go there. I think when they face a proper threat, they will see that they're just not good enough, and you need goals. I mean, I know they've got that Spandau Ballo goal. Was it? You are goal. Oh, they need goals. The thing is, when it comes to it, I think when they come up against a very good outfit who are very solid, they will find it hard because you can pass the ball all you like. If you've got no runners behind the ball, it's not going to help. And if you've got no striker who can hold up the ball, then it's going to be tough as well. But I mean, Zeke said it. The French look good. I know people might be getting onto them after that Australia game about they had a lot of chances, Australia, but do you really think they're going to play as expansive as they did against Australia? I personally don't see it. And Denmark drawing against Tunisia has probably helped the French anyway, so they'll look good. Brazil, of course, Sam said it. Brazil are going to be fantastic. Yogo Benito, all of that. They've got the Samba back. It's going to be like we're in the Copacabana beach. It's going to be like Fast Five with Dominic Toretto and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And speaking of Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the final contender is finally football has come back. Because you know what? We got a chance, baby. We got a good chance. The way this tournament is shaping up, we've got a good chance. I don't want to get giddy. I don't want to get gassed. I know it's Iran, but the thing is, teams just don't look the same. Germany don't look the same. I can't see Portugal going that far. The Dutch, they look all right. And if we just keep plugging away, you never know where it could go. I mean, last 16 will get a favourable tie. And then from there, anything is possible. I mean, Covey's put a pretty good point. If Kane's injured,
yeah, definitely.
How far can
I think they will. I think without Kane, they will struggle to lay at the smackdown, to go back at the wrestling references just for you right there. But, I mean, in a similar theme, who's really underwhelmed for you guys thus far? I mean, for me, it has to be Belgium. They looked awful against Canada. I mean, they shipped, I think it was 21 shots against Canada to their 7 attempts themselves. I mean, that's pretty poor. I mean, Zeke, who's really underwhelmed for you thus far?
Yeah, I would say Belgium as well. But then if you look at their squad, you've got a lot of old players who, 8 years ago might have been amazing. But now you've sort of got De Bruyne there doing it all on his own. And I mean, mentioning him, he got man of the match, which was
laughable.
Because
as solid as Messi's 2014 Golden Ball win. Remember that?
Yeah, well, I mean, even he was like, I don't know how I actually won that because I was not good.
His face said it all, right?
Yeah, he was just thinking like, why am I holding this thing? Because I'm not sure how it is. Yeah, but then you've got obviously a really old back line, of which I don't really see that like keeping many goals out really, and you've then just got Courtois, who is very good, as you obviously know, has.
I know very well. Very well.
But yeah, they don't have very much. But I was quite surprised at how bad they actually were. But yeah, I mean, I'm not too. I was expecting a bit more from the Netherlands. I thought they would be a little bit better. But they are quite a young team who might need a bit of time to gel and build
Plus,
it up.
their coach as well is not exactly Mr. effective going forward. He's very pragmatic, is Mr. Louis van Gaal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy entirely. But yeah, definitely two very good chats. I'm interested to see what comes in the Netherlands. A very sort of solid squad all round with some great youth, but some also senior heads in there. Sam, who was your letdown?
Annoyingly, I was going to say Netherlands, and I was sat here and I was thinking, great, yeah, this is good. This is going to be rogue, but yeah, I'm second person to pile in on this now. I was a little bit underwhelmed with just the game in general. I think they've obviously got fantastic players like Van Dijk, that goes without saying. But I think going forward, they were really lacking. And I don't know whether Depay wasn't fully fit before the tournament, whether I've missed that. But he came on at some point in the game. And yeah, I wasn't massively impressed with them. Having a look through the groups at the moment, Senegal I expected a bit better from. USA, to be fair, do you know what? I thought USA were going to hang on. I thought they had enough in their tank to hold on to the 3 points. I'm not overly gutted because obviously Wales being a home nation, I'd like them to do well. I'm sure that the feeling isn't reciprocated, but yeah, I thought USA would do a little bit better, but they've still got a couple of games left, so they might squeeze through. They're my sweepstake team as it happens as well, so I quite like them to do all right.
That's a fair shout. I mean, sorry, the Chainsmokers sang "Don't Let Me Down," but who let you down? Who has let you down?
I mean, I might be wearing an Argentina shirt. I might be wearing an Argentina shirt, but I'm not going to go with Argentina. I'm going to go with Uruguay. The reason I say Uruguay is because everyone's talking about them being dark horses. I mean, I don't know what thoroughbred they're going for, what stallion they're going for, whether it's the Italian stallion Rocky or whether they've got Frankie Dettori's thoroughbred. I don't know what dark horse they've got, because for me, the way they played against South Korea was just, I just don't get it. I mean, first game of the World Cup, with the squad they've got as well, fine, granted, they've got a few old players. You've got to put your mark on the competition, because now that Portugal especially have beaten Ghana, and we'll get onto Matchday too in the later part of the episode, that means they have to basically they have to avoid defeat. If they lose to Portugal, I think they're basically out the World Cup, which is a shambles because they were probably a cheeky pick for a dark horse. So they've let me down. I can't really moan at Suarez. I mean, the guy's 35. He's a veteran. He's a cannibal. He's done everything under the sun, and I think he's finished. His career in eating people's finished, racially abusing people's finished. Playing football, I think. Listen, he was a great player in his prime, but I think he's done. And I'm not even talking about Optimus Prime or Sentinel Prime from Transformers. I'm talking about the Suarez Prime, and I think it's done. But listen, Uruguay, they're my sweepstake. It's funny. I mean, Sam's got USA in his sweepstake. Zeke's got his sweepstake. I mean, Uruguay, they're better. If you're watching these Uruguay players, make sure you turn up.
I'll be very, very surprised if Fede Valverde is tuning into this post-World Cup game. And if he is, my man, I love you. Anyways, but yeah, I'd agree with Uruguay if you to ask me about my letdown as well. I was really expecting a lot more of them than we actually saw, but there's some players in there that I'm sitting there and looking at them thinking, how are you a professional footballer still or ever have been at this point? I mean, Vecino in midfield, God above, he's awful. He's absolutely awful. Oliveira at fullback, I thought he was piss poor. Suarez looks like he's won a competition to play with the team, stumbling about. I don't know why Cavani didn't start in that game. Someone who's got a bit of mobility, because he moves around like a geriatric these days. Suarez, it's terrible. Anyway, let's swivel on to something that's definitely going to cause a bit of a stir, as it always bloody does in any corner of the world. You can't avoid it, can you? Especially given the difference in fortunes that they both suffered at this tournament. So I say suffered. Ronaldo didn't really suffer. Actually, no, he did suffer a little bit. With the way that game almost ended. Yeah, Messi versus Ronaldo. It's always there. You can't avoid it. You can't escape it. It's inevitable. It's like when Thanos snaps his fingers. It's there. I mean, we'll kick it off with Zeke, because I know Zeke's a Messi sympathiser.
Yeah, come on, Suey.
I was waiting for it. Yeah, I mean, look, let's discuss it. He had a pretty decent showing in that game by and large, not by his usual standards. You could argue was a reason for why they conceded one of those goals as well. What was your thoughts on Messi's overall performance against Saudi Arabia?
I thought he was good, but he didn't quite. Obviously, there wasn't that spark that he always has. But it's not really. It's not all on him. Everyone else needs to pull their weight.
Sure, yeah.
Really, even though it is always on him, isn't it? Realistically,
It's always going to be at the end of the day when you're a name that big.
yeah,
You're always going to carry that brunt, and it's just that is the way that reality works. I'm afraid,
yeah.
in this very cruel reality.
Yeah, I just love him though. He's so good. He's so good.
Don't set him off. Don't set him off. You'll start stripping next.
Got the Vaseline here. Got the Durex here. You know, just carry on, please.
I told you. I warned you. I absolutely warned you. Just to sort of mix it up a bit. Sam, I'll come to you next to give us a bit of a different spin on that before we go to the manic on the other side. What did you make of Ronaldo's performance against Ghana?
I think it's sort of a mixed bag of apples. He had a couple of misses that he probably should have done a bit better with. Obviously, being Team Ronaldo in this 2-on-2 here, I think it's difficult with Ronaldo, right? Because like with Messi, whatever happens with Portugal, whatever happens with Argentina, it won't be what's happened to them. It will be what's happened to the two players. It's almost like the nations is secondary to those two players when it comes to headlines. So hence why we're talking about it. And yeah, I think there's room for improvement. I do slightly worry that, like with Manchester United, whether Ronaldo's presence is not as beneficial for the team as you think it might be. A bit like what we saw with Suarez for Uruguay today.
Sure, yeah.
Trotting around. Obviously, he can finish the ball. No one is doubting either of these two players' finishing ability. But athletically, they're not what they used to be. And I think you sort of saw signs of that today. But I think there's room for improvement in a lot of these teams, a lot of these players. Ronaldo's no exception, Messi's no exception, and I'm sure that they'll both kick on and have a good tournament. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Sani, I can see you're itching to get going here. But come on, let's see what you've got then. What was your thoughts on Messi's performance against Saudi Arabia?
For me personally, watching Messi is like having sex, and what I mean by that, when you see Messi dropping deep, doing it, right, spraying the balls here, spraying the balls there, it's like base 1, base 2, foreplay, all of that, right? You get nearer the box, that's where you think, you know, certain spots about to get hit. And we're not talking about the penalty spot like your boy Ronaldo knows very well.
Hey, but he scored a penalty as well. It's
rare. It's rare, right? It's rare.
Is it?
It's no point finishing in 30 seconds if you're not going to last an hour, right? So with Messi, right, when it came to the apex, he's there and he takes his time, and just watching him is just beautiful, right? And granted, fine, they lost, whatever. But as Zeke said, there's only so much the man can do. If you're like, what's his name? Atlas, right? From the Greek mythology, I'm pretty sure, where he's carrying the world on his shoulders. That's Messi. You can't expect him to do everything at the end of the day. And the thing is, when it comes down to this, Argentina will get out of the group. I'm confident of that. And Messi will have a great tournament, because this is, as the great MJ once said, the last dance. I guess it is for Ronaldo as well. But the beauty of Ronaldo is he's got a very stacked squad. I mean, you know, Sam mentioned it. Does he actually benefit Portugal? Yes, he does, because fine, he scores goals. But, I mean, when you got Guedes on the bench, Leao on the bench, listen, they got some good players.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
you know,
but would you not argue?
What you got to say about this, brother?
Oh, we'll come to that in a second. But you mentioned the stat squad thing there. Would you not argue that Argentina also do have a stat squad, though? I mean, Copa America winners currently. They went on a 39-match unbeaten run. You know, there's players in that squad that, you know, regulars for Champions League sides all over Europe. You know, that's just as good a squad in for the most part, I'd say. Do you not agree?
When you got a player, no offense to this man, but Otamendi, right, in your back line, come on now.
But he's been a mainstay for that 39-match unbeaten run, and there was a mainstay for the Copa as well.
We need the butcher, right? We need the butcher. And what I mean by the butcher is not the butcher that's going to be chopping up that Portuguese Iberico.
Yeah, big Lissandro, of course. Yeah, we feel that.
He would have been key in that Saudi game. I'm not even going to deny. I'm not saying Argentina.
So would you, in place of Otamendi, put Martinez in there as well? Or would you have... Oh, so you wouldn't have them together?
I would have put Martinez in the back line. I would have put Sam alongside him as left back, and probably Zeke as right back, because I don't rate this Argentina back line.
I will agree with you. The fullbacks, I had no clue who either of them was.
I don't know what was going on with the fullbacks, right? What the hell was that all about, right? If you want a fullback, you know, like I said, ask these two boys, get them over to Qatar right now. They don't need no vaccines, any of that. Right? They'll go straight into it. So the way I see it, is, listen, Messi did what Messi does all the time. He tried his best. He couldn't do it, but don't write him off. Write him off at your peril. We all know when you write him off at your peril, you're a Real Madrid fan. You know this. You know what happened in the 2016-17 Clasico. I'm pretty sure
it was a while ago, but sure.
Right. Last minute, what happened? Messi, and you have Alex Hudson, not Alex Hudson. What's his name? Hudson. You know, Ray Hudson. That's his name. Creaming his pants, like seriously.
God above. He blocked me on Twitter. I'm not. That's not even a lie. He has actually blocked me on Twitter. I still don't know why to this day.
But Ronaldo, listen, Ronaldo. I think he had a good game. I'm not going to deny he had a good game, but again, I don't think he's as influential as Messi, and that's why I'm always going to be siding with Messi. You know.
I mean, yeah, I can see in terms of quality. I think Portugal's squad definitely edges Argentina's in general overall quality. Sure, 100%. I don't think Argentina's squad is full of scrubs though. In that same breath, I mean, here's the other question though, and it's really tough in this position as well for Messi. Obviously, coming from a region alongside another huge name in Maradona, right? I had this out with Zeke earlier in the week on Twitter as well. If Messi doesn't win this World Cup, does that mean in Argentina he is not the prodigal son like Maradona is? Do you think that he needs to win this World Cup to be the guy?
It's a great
Zeke or Sani, take it.
In Argentina, that is.
Yeah, just in Argentina, not in general, just in Argentina.
I think he does need the World Cup then. I'd say so.
You think so, Zeke? You agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think Argentina is different to overall, isn't it? So yeah, they would look at Maradona in a slightly different way because he is like their thing, isn't he? Like and he's also got that weird like personality that people love, whereas Messi's not like that. So if
what are you saying is he's boring?
I wouldn't say boring, but along those lines. So I feel like that sort of hinders him anyway. So he would need to actually win the World Cup, I think. But yeah, it is definitely a completely different argument to just being an overall better player, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Sam, we'll let you finalise this. I mean, Ronaldo's got obviously a different situation over in Portugal. I'd say he is definitely probably the guy, given the fact he's took him to glory, something that no one else in their history has ever done. But for you, do you think Messi needs that World Cup to be the guy in Argentina?
Well, like I said, I think it's a brilliant question, one that I wasn't prepared for, but I love it. It's so difficult, isn't it? Because obviously we've got the recency bias of having seen Messi and Maradona. We've seen bits of, but it's difficult. It's really hard, and I think only time will tell for sure. But sitting here now in my bedroom on my own, speaking to you guys on my computer, I'm going to put it out there. I think he does need the World Cup. I think in terms of iconic moments, especially in an Argentina shirt, Maradona's got loads of them, whereas Messi hasn't. And I think in Argentina specifically, I think international success, I would say for most people, most football fans, is sort of the pinnacle really for you as a football fan. Obviously, unless you're from Liverpool, but I would say he needs the World Cup.
Scout's not English, right?
Yeah, I think he needs the World Cup. I think he does.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. I mean, it's a hell of a way to round it off for sure. But we're going to move on to some trivia next, which I believe Sam is going to take control of. So take it away, my man.
I am so excited for this. I just need to get the questions up, so we'll fill some dead air. How's everyone's day been?
Long, mate. It's just football all day, every day right now, and I'm drowning in it. Literally drowning in it.
Oh, yeah,
you love
big
it,
time. Big time.
Sometimes,
Right.
unless it's boring 0-0.
Oh, 100%. Too many of those. Too many of those for my liking. But, ladies and gentlemen, hang about. Who's put get ready? Oh, get your answers ready. Right. First and foremost, that caught me off guard. Have you guys got your pens and paper ready? That's the most important bit.
I have a book, apparently, according to Zahil.
Phones, chuck them on the other side of the room. If I see any...
It's proof that it's there. Yeah. It's gone.
Good. If I see any phone reflections in those glasses, Sani, I'm not going to be happy. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is a moment that we've all been waiting for. It's big. It is Sam's Super Sexy World Cup quiz. We've got sound effects. We've got sound effects. I thought the volume was up, so that's kind of a bit.
That's fine. We got it.
But with your host, Doctor, it hurts when I quiz. It is Sam Peyton hosting the World Cup Super Sexy Quiz. Question number 1. So the way that this is going to work is I'm going to read out all the questions. There are 10 questions, 12 points up for grabs. Write down your answers. I'll come to you all at the end. And let's just get straight into it. Question number 1. Who won the first ever World Cup?
Shit.
Suey.
I honestly actually don't have a clue.
Who won the first ever World Cup for question 1? Question number 2. Oh, hang about. Bonus point. I've missed the first bonus point. It's all gone to pot. But bonus point for who hosted it as well. So who won it and who hosted it.
Oh,
big. It's a very tricky start.
Yeah, you didn't let us in gently there at all, did you?
Oh,
No, not at all.
Did it or not? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, mate.
I know who won it. I know who won it. But the host is really... I don't know if there's 2 teams. Oh!
It's tricky. As I say, it's a very tricky start for Part A and Part B. Question number 2, though. A little bit of a nice question. How often is the World Cup held? A little morale booster, this one.
That's a participation prize, that is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thank you for that one.
Well, at least I got one right.
You never know. So question number 3 is a multiple choice question. What was the score at halftime in Germany's 7-1 thrashing of Brazil? Was it A, Germany 3, Brazil 1? Was it B, Germany 5, Brazil 0? Was it C, Germany 4, Brazil 1? So that's A, Germany 3, Brazil 1. B, Germany 5, Brazil 0. Or C, Germany 4, Brazil 1.
My head is full of useless knowledge right now because I watched that with Sani and all I can remember is what I ate that day.
Can I phone a friend? Can I 50-50?
No.
You know?
No.
Right.
I don't know the answer, by the way, just in case you were thinking of me.
Shambles my fan.
Right, we've got question number 4. Battle of the Goats. Neither Messi or Ronaldo have won the World Cup, but who has scored the most World Cup goals out of the 2 legends?
You know what?
You know what? After today...
It's a 50-50.
I mean, I know it's a 50-50, but still.
Messi didn't score any in 2010.
That doesn't help.
Yeah, he scored none in 2010. He got a couple in 2018, I'm pretty sure.
You got a couple in 2014 as well. Oh, that's tough.
So we're up to 4.
Oh!
Yeah, you know, that's really tricky because
Sexy
Ronaldo got 1 in like 2014. I know that.
I love how you're helping each other, by the way. This is very
I'm
friendly
thinking out loud.
competition.
I'm thinking out loud. Shit, all right.
Thinking out loud. He thinks he's Ed Sheeran, but you're not Ginger, so I don't know what you're on about. You know, keep it to yourself.
I'm gonna grab one of Sam's guitars and start breaking it out.
Question number 5. Which country has won the most World Cups?
Piece of piss, that one.
I love you, man.
You're welcome. Another participation one. Potentially. You never know. You know, don't beat the horse while it's down. That's not a phrase.
Definitely Pakistan.
Yes, good. Keep your answers to yourself. Come on. Question number 6. Which country are the FIFA headquarters situated?
Oh, I know this. I know the city as well, which is really messed up, I think.
That's because you're a sap. I'm pretty sure it's here.
My 1 minute loop of dramatic sound effects has now gone on to a compare the market advert. So
I was going to say, all I heard was I need a hero, and I definitely do need one.
Yep, absolutely fuming. How heavy, this is number 7, how heavy is the World Cup trophy? Another multiple choice. Is it A, 6 kilograms? Is it B, 10 kilograms? Or is it C, 12 kilograms? Get those boys.
I've held a replica once.
I think I know this. Because I lifted it when I was on holiday. Where was I? Tunisia.
Well, you touched the World Cup trophy.
Yeah, it was a fake one, but you know, we'll take it.
Oh, okay, we got the dramatic music back. That's good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Tense. Can you feel the tension, guys?
Okay.
Good stuff. Question number 8. Which player has won the most World Cups as a player? So, is it A, Franz Beckenbauer, B, Pele, or C, Garrincha? That is Beckenbauer, Pele, or Garrincha, in that order.
Jesus Christ, that's actually
Tricky,
really
that.
horrible.
You know what? That Garrincha has thrown me off.
Yeah. Why is he in there?
I feel like it's bluff.
Yeah.
Son of
No
a gun.
comment. No comment.
Fuck it, I'm going with that.
Lovely stuff. Ready for question 9?
Yeah,
God, look at your faces. You are bricking it. Question
I'm not
number
feeling my
9.
score.
Which English pop star performed at the 2018 World Cup opening ceremony?
Honestly, I ain't gonna Scoob. It wasn't Ed Sheeran.
I mean, if it's not this person, then that's a bit of a shambles. I'm getting gassed over for no reason. But
I'm gonna have to pass on that. I ain't got a clue.
mate, you love this
Write
person's
down
song.
a random
Actually, no, it can't be her because she's not English.
English pop star.
Mate, with
Better to
Sam's
have
luscious
something-
locks and that guitar, I'm
Ugh.
surprised it wasn't you.
Well, maybe next year. Maybe next year.
One day.
Get ready for the next question?
I know it's wrong, but I'm just gonna write it down anyway.
Good. I'm going to be going to you first on that one then. Question number 10. Who is the highest scoring player in World Cup history? And a bonus point
I know
for
who
how
it
many
is.
goals this player scored.
He basically retired from club football to play for his country. Well,
I know
adopted
this
country.
as well. I know this. Sorry.
Okay, well, I'm pretty confident I got both points out of that one. Pretty confident.
Do you want me to read any of the questions again, by the way?
No, I'm pretty good.
That is
Pretty good.
wonderful. That is wonderful. So, question number 1. Who won the first ever World Cup? Sonny, I think you know the answer, so...
Yeah, I went Uruguay as the winners
Interested.
in 1930. I'm pretty sure they played Brazil, or was it Argentina? I can't remember.
Argentina.
Argentina, and they played in Uruguay.
Oh, I got one of
Stuff.
them. I got
Good
one of them. I
stuff.
got Uruguay.
Nice one. Well, they're actually, yeah, they were both Uruguay. There you go. So that's.
I knew they won it, but I didn't know where the hell they played. I had no clue. That was just a stab in the dark, and I said Brazil.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go. Argentina. Yeah, Argentina lost 4-2 to Uruguay in Uruguay. I don't know why I said that backwards. That even threw me off. Question number 2. How often is the World Cup held? Everyone say it at the same time.
4 years.
4 years.
Wicked. You've all got yourselves a point. Pat yourselves on the back, guys. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. Question number 3. A tricky question, which is why I went for the multiple choice. What was the score at halftime in Germany's 7-1 thrashing of Brazil? What did you guys go for? I'll start. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. I was going to.
I went
anyway.
with B. I went with B. I went with B.
You went with B. Interesting. What did you guys go for? You went
I went
for C.
C.
Whichever one 5-0 was.
That was B.
Yeah.
The answer is B. Well done, guys. Well done, guys. 5-0
Suck
at
that,
half time, by
Sani.
the way.
4-0's bad. 4-0's
Yeah.
bad, but 5-0.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous stuff. Question number 4 was who has scored more goals in the World Cup? Let me hear your answers, guys.
Ronaldo.
Oh, yeah, Messi or Ronaldo. Sorry, I should have specified that a little bit better. But
Don't
So
make
we
me
got-
look like an idiot. Is it?
have you all gone for Ronaldo?
Yeah.
Have you?
Is it not?
No, it's Ronaldo, mate. Ronaldo has 8. Messi has 7. Bang! All I've said is Cristiano Ronaldo Sui. Messi, by the way, has never scored a goal in the knockout rounds of the World Cup. I really hope
I knew
that's
that, yeah,
right,
I
otherwise
knew
I'm
that.
gonna look like a bit of a tit, but that's good.
No, I knew that.
Good stuff. Because he's mid. So, question number 5, midway through, ironically. Which country has won the most World Cups?
Brazil.
Brazil.
All gone for Brazil?
Yeah.
Wicked. No trolling anymore. It is Brazil with 5 World Cups. That is mental. Could be 6 this year. Hopefully,
I think it
it'll
will
be 2
be
for England.
6.
Who knows? Yeah, that was my prediction as well. As we've just passed the halfway stage, guys, if you are new here on my channel and Sani's channel, please do subscribe, comment. I don't really know what to comment at this point because we're just going through answers. So let me know how you're doing. But yeah, follow the guys on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff because it's one big happy family. Question number 6. Where are the FIFA headquarters? We only want the country,
I guess
Sani.
Switzerland.
Oh,
Switzerland.
That's quite a good guess.
And Zurich.
I don't
I
know, mate.
said France. So, I mean, I don't
It
know.
is Switzerland. France is a good shout, though. But it is Switzerland. I think it might be Geneva.
I'm sure
But I
it's
might be
Geneva.
wrong. I'm
I
going to
read-
Google
it's
it.
Geneva.
I went Interrail in the summer. I'm pretty sure I saw the FIFA headquarters. Again, I could have been blind and pissed out my face, but I think it was Zurich.
FIFA headquarters. In the meantime, how heavy is the World Cup trophy, guys? Is it A, 6 kilograms, B, 10, or C, 12?
I think it's B.
Interested. Interested.
See.
It is A, 6 kilograms.
Ah,
Mental.
Do I get a point?
Mental.
Do I get half a point for being closer than these two because they were 2 away?
I'm not that much of a pushover, so no. Otherwise, I'm going to get held to ransom when we do this in the future. FIFA headquarters, by the way, are in Zurich. Wow, that is great knowledge. Not relevant to the quiz. You just need to know the country, but still impressive. Number 8. Which player has won the most World Cups? It seemed to throw you guys, so
Big
I
time.
love that. Beckenbauer, Pele, or Garrincha?
I know Pele has 3, and I just thought that sounds like a lot. So
yeah.
That's
I
quite a
got-
lot.
I went with
You're
the
going for
guy with
Pele?
1,000 goals. Yeah, I went with him. Well,
it's
well,
fucking
yeah,
Garrincha,
stuff.
isn't it?
No, it's not.
No, it's
It
not.
is Pele. It is
Who
Pele.
is it?
It is
How much has
Pele.
Grincha got? How much has Grincha got?
He's through that
Googling
one.
as we speak. Yeah, Garrincha I thought was an interesting one to throw in there because obviously he has
Also Brazilian.
yeah, he's Brazilian. He's played alongside Pele. Pele may have missed out, but he didn't. He has won 2 World Cups. Pele has got 3. That was probably I don't
You know what's
didn't need
funny?
to
In
do
the '62 World Cup, I'm pretty sure it was in Sweden. Pele actually didn't play a game. I'm pretty sure because he got injured, I think, but he somehow got a medal, which is mad. But yeah, we'll
I
leave
feel like
that.
Messi's first Champions League, huh?
Yeah, whatever.
that. Oh, a couple of frauds. Anyway, let's move on. Question number 9. You know where I'm going first for this one. Which English pop star performed at the 2018 World Cup opening ceremony? Mr. Mexico.
It's obviously not due. It's not even It's not obviously not Dua Lipa, is it? Because she's not even British, mate.
I'll take your word for it. She might be, she might not be.
I think she is.
She's definitely not. She's Albanian, I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
What? That's
that-
nuts.
who I actually wrote down. So I mean,
That's
Dua
what
Lipa
I
as
wrote
well.
down Dua Lipa as well. That's what I put Dua Lipa.
I swear down, she's not British.
Have you guys put down Dua Lipa?
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought I was taking the piss when I put that down.
Wow. Interesting. Well, let me enlighten you. Sorry, let me entertain you.
I'm
It is
sure
in
she
fact
isn't.
Robbie Williams. Opened the Russia. I'm a big Robbie Williams fan, so when I saw this come up on one of my 15 World Cup quizzes that I did over the past week, I was like, "Yep, that's going in." And I thought that
I
might
am
throw people
an
as well.
idiot.
So
She
Robbie
is
Williams, yeah.
English.
What,
Yeah,
what,
she
did,
is.
what did he
Turns out
sing?
Oh
she's
no,
like
she's part
Scunthorpe.
Albanian. I'm an idiot.
Angel. What was he singing? Like what?
he has a song called "Party Like a Russian," which I don't
That's a
know
tune.
why that's like the only reason why, but it was pretty decent. He had a lovely
Oh.
Yeah.
glittery red suit.
I remember the
Got
suit
told.
now. Bloody hell!
Yeah.
Now it's come back to me. It's just come
Great.
back to me. That
was
that
a
suit was
highlight of the World
horrific.
Is take that, and that's
So-
what we're gonna have to deal with.
Great.
That's great. That is great. If a little corny. Now, question 10. 2 points in this one. Who's the highest scoring player in World Cup history?
Miroslav
everyone.
Klose.
16.
Wicked. Interesting. So we've already jumped the gun with the second one. I was about to go on about a record breaker card in FIFA 14, but we'll move on about that. That's not going to help me get a girlfriend.
I jumped
So,
the gun. No,
What? How many goals have you all gone for? So, Sani, you've gone for 16.
yeah.
I went 15. I'm pretty sure it was 15.
Ronaldo's not 15.
No, I thought he had 14. I'm pretty sure he had 14.
I might be wrong.
Intrigued.
This is
Across
tense.
Hang on.
I need this for bragging rights, bro.
Cross and tense music. Okay, so this is tense. I've got all the power and I'm thriving off it.
I don't like
Over
it. Hurry
4
up.
tournaments, Miroslav Klose scored. He scored more than 10. So you
Oh,
We
shut
know
up!
that.
He scored more than 13.
Oof.
More than 14. More than 15. He got 16
Ah.
goals. Sani has got a 90th minute potentially winner. I haven't actually been
think
keeping
he has
score.
not,
I hope
yeah.
you guys have. Top your marks, guys. It's like a spelling test.
Um,
It's like we're in year 4 again.
1, 2, 3,
1, 2,
4,
3,
5,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
9.
I got 8 right.
I got 8.
Lost out by 1.
Miroslav Klose, 16 goals, baby.
I thought it was 15.
You got
I
Steve
thought
on the
you...
stream. There's a lot of football kids. I'm gonna have to come for a closer shirt after that.
Yeah.
That's wicked. Wait, so Sonny, did you get one more than everyone
He
else?
did, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that is literally 90 plus 7 Sani-That sports guy. Guys, if that isn't worth subscribing, I don't know what is. I really hope people are still
I'm
here
upset.
after that. That was
I've
good,
got
though.
to see his smug face on Sunday as well now. Dickhead.
Yeah, well, I reckon we need to VAR. Where's your phone, mate?
Mine's over there somewhere. I lost it.
Beautiful
Listen,
stuff.
guys,
Beautiful stuff.
we're gonna
And
have
guys,
to end-
unfortunately, that does bring the end of Sam's Super Sexy World Cup quiz. I can't be asked to get the air horns out, but I hope you have enjoyed it. I need to see the doctor because it still hurts when I quiz. Let's move on with the rest of the show. Plenty more quiz.
Yeah, so let's look ahead to Matchday 2. And there's some tasty targets coming up pretty soon. I just need to get them up in front of me again. Give me 1 second. But all I know is Germany and Spain play each other in a very big clash on Sunday. So let's start with that. That seems like that's a good place to start. What do we think, boys? Germany, Spain. That's already like a relegation 6-pointer, I'd say, for Germany.
I think Germany will step it up. I don't think they'll really want to lose this game because then they're out. So it's like they are going to give it all. So I'm feeling a draw, I think, but it could easily be a Germany win.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. Sani, what do you think? Germany, Spain.
Very good game. Very, very good game. Because now we know that Germany have lost their first game. The pressure is on.
They have to go for it, yeah.
I'm inclined to say Germany win. I mean, players like Musiala, they're too good to go home at the group stage. That boy is a baller. Chelsea
really screwed up by letting him go, right?
Spain looked good. That's the problem. Spain looked good, so
yeah,
it's a tough one. I'm going to say Germany win only because if they draw, I don't think they'll make it out the World Cup.
No, I agree. I think it is literally a case of do or die.
Now, if Japan win their next game, then they'll be on 6 points, which means that the only way Germany can go through if this game's a draw is if Japan beat Spain or, yes, Japan beat Spain.
Japan have Costa Rica next, so I'd say they've pretty much got a win.
Yeah, I think Japan.
Based on what we've seen,
I think Japan will go through the World Cup. I think they'll finish. Actually, every team might finish on 6 points in that group, in terms bar Costa Rica. So, yeah, I'm going to go Germany, Spain only because that group will be interesting if Germany win it. So let's go Germany win.
Sam, what you called him there? Germany, Spain.
I think it's really tricky, and I'm probably going to contradict what I said earlier about how good Spain looked, because a great caveat that he made earlier was how poor Costa Rica were, and they were dire. Like, they were really bad. They made Spain look even better than they were, and I think when you face the challenge of Germany, you never underestimate the Germans. That's one of the things that's said every single World Cup, every single tournament, and they say it for a reason. Last World Cup, was it the World Cup? When Toni Kroos scored against Sweden. Was that the World Cup?
Yeah, it was, yeah. When he scored from that ridiculous angle from the free kick. Yeah,
dying seconds. I feel like still in this team, there is that kind of moment there. And despite how good Spain looked, I think that Germany definitely shouldn't be underestimated off that one game. And I reckon that they will win, I think that win is going to blow the group wide open. Japan potentially, by the way, going to be sitting top of the group after two games. Who would have thought it?
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, no, definitely me. Not me either. I had them finishing third potentially in that group. But I also think Germany have to go for it. And I think they've got the quality to trouble that Spanish backline, particularly when they've got players like Eric Garcia starting in there, who I don't particularly rate.
Question: if Germany win this, right? If Germany win this game, you've got Spain on 3 points, Germany on 3 points, Japan on 6. Right?
Yeah.
Let's say final game, Spain beat Japan. Spain have got 6, Japan's down 6, and then let's say Germany beat Costa Rica. That group's going to come down to goal difference, which is mad.
Yeah, so basically everyone that plays Costa Rica is looking for a padding session. Is what we're saying here.
Spain already
Germany have to beat Spain to stay in the World Cup. It's a must-win game.
I think Spain slapping Costa Rica by 7 goals is going to really help them out later on in this group. 100%. That's definitely going to bode well for them. It's just a case of how many can the rest of them stick past Costa Rica, because if that first game is anything to go by, sheesh, they're in for a beating. Let's go to the home nations then. You got England versus the USA. Now, the USA did look pretty good in their opening game. Sam, I'll come to you first. What are you feeling there?
For the USA, was that, sorry?
Yeah.
Cool. I obviously sweepstake team, hoping that they do well. Well, actually, no, I'm not hoping that they do well. I've just realised it's England. Scrap that. Don't clip it, lads. But I'm in an England shirt as well. Did not go to plan. Yes, so USA look good. I think this is going to be very interesting from a USA point of view. Ignore the chance because they are dire. I've seen way too many of those for my liking as well, even from this World Cup of fight and win, and I believe that we'll win. Honestly, it's making me glad I'm not there. But yeah, I think look, they've got quality in that team. England, I think, have got more quality. Putting it very simply, when you look at the USA team on paper and you look at the likes of Dest, who's at Barcelona, you see those two paired up and you go, cool, he must be decent then. I wasn't massively impressed with him against Wales, if I'm being perfectly honest. And apparently he's struggling for game time at Milan at the moment. He's on loan at Milan. Struggling for game time there. Doesn't take anything away from the quality in the player. That might just have been one game that I've seen of him that I wasn't massively blown away. But I think England will be fine. I think the confidence from the Iran game will carry us through absolutely fine. It's not like I can give them a sweepstake, but I think that they'll be absolutely fine. I think they'll be all right, England. And I think, unfortunately for the USA, I don't believe that you will win.
Zeke, you echoing those sentiments? You reckon England will easily pass through the US of A?
Yeah, I think they looked quite good against Wales in the first half, but then they really dropped off. I think they have quite a good starting lineup, but there's not really enough depth there. Whereas England have obviously got that. So even if it's 0-0, pushing into the latter parts, we can obviously bring on players like Grealish and whatever and make things happen. So I don't see them really troubling us too much. I feel like an England win is definitely going to happen. I don't think it will be by many. I feel like it will be like a 2-1 or a 2-0.
Fair shouts. And Sani, you're the last one up with this one. The Battle of the West in the middle of the East. Who takes it?
I echo what the boys are saying. I mean, England, we've got a very stacked squad, not even just a team, a squad. And as Zeke just said, if we have issues, attacking them, we've got so many options off the bench. We'll just bring them on. And I mean, Sam's talking about the crowd and the passion and how the USA believe they'll win. I mean, what they should have done is they should have won that first game against Wales, and that's cost them, because I think I saw a stat whereby the team that wins the first group game, whatever in their campaign for the World Cup, I think they're like 65% more likely to progress in the World Cup. So realistically, if you win your first game, you got a very good chance of progressing. And that was absolute heart stopper from Bale. They should have won that game, the US. They had many chances, but listen, they didn't score. And there's got good players, like Pulisic is quite good. Timothy Weah, I like him. What a finish, by the way, against Wales. But I just don't think they've got enough. I think for the first 20 minutes or so, I think they'll be good against us. But then obviously we'll be in our tempo. And I think from there, I think we'll have too much for them. I mean, our midfield will be too good for them. And attacking-wise as well, especially our wingers, especially Saka's playing amazing at the moment as well. Sterling's playing good. I think we'll be too much for him.
I mean, it's sticking with something you mentioned in there. Wales have Iran on that same group stage point. Do you think they will be able to breach the wall that is Iran's defence? Do you think they've got enough? Do you think Bale can pull a one out of the hat again?
Listen, there's a reason why it's Wales, Golf, Madrid. I know you're a Real Madrid fan, but when that
boy... LA Galaxy, or the LAFC even now.
Yeah, when that boy plays for Wales, he is special. Yeah. He unleashes that red dragon. Enter the dragon. I'm not even talking about Bruce Lee. I'm talking about Gareth Bale, because my God, that guy is special. Very clutch. Albeit, I don't think he played amazingly in that game against the US. Kiefer Moore, I think, has to start against Iran. I think he's a very good player for Wales. Do they get the win? It's a must-win for Wales. They have to win this game, otherwise they're not going through. And I think they'll pull it out the bag. I think it'll be Bale again. He'll get the headlines, clutch goal, and I think they'll win. But again, Iran are going to come back with a vengeance. Obviously, let's see if their keeper's fit for the next game. He's very important for them. Carlos Queiroz, ex-Man United, he's going to be obviously very, very much gunning for this game, because if he doesn't, progress through this group stage, that's another group stage that they haven't made it past. So, yeah, I think Wales are going to win, but scoreline could be anything. We'll see what happens.
Sam, Sani says, Enter the Dragon. Question is, do you really like their chances? And if no one got that DJ Pied Piper reference, I'm disappointed. Anyway, Sam.
First thing I want to say, Gareth Bale, great trim, undercut, man bun, gangster fusion. There's quite a few great man buns, by the way. Just want to say shout out Kajer, is that how we're pronouncing it? He's grown himself a man bun for Denmark. He looks beautiful. One of the, who just played, Serbian players, got a yellow card. He had a man bun as well, but we're drifting a little bit away from Wales. I think one of the things with Wales, right, is they play for each other. They're a really good team. When you've got teams like France or Argentina, who I know I've spoken about with you guys before, about how I think they're a team of superstars that don't necessarily suit each other, whereas I think that Wales, they're not sort of technically the best squad in the world. You've got a bit of a mismatch. You've got players who are amazing technically, like Gareth Bale, and then you've got this big lump of a centre forward in Kiefer Moore, who is fantastic.
Monster.
But yeah, big time. And yeah, I agree with you, Sonny. I think that Moore should 100% be starting. I think he's brilliant. I was surprised to not see him start. Dan James is really hit or miss. My dad's a Leeds fan as well. He doesn't even get in the Leeds team at the moment. And they're not doing particularly great. So yeah, I rate Wales. I think they'll be fine. And yeah, like you guys have said, I think that they need to get a result here. And I think that they will. I think there's enough quality in that squad to get them over the line. If not, the support for each other, I think, will absolutely see them through.
Zeke, he says unity is the key for Wales, and they often preach that message of together stronger. It's etched everywhere in their marketing. Do you agree? Is that together stronger?
Yeah. I think individually, I don't think the actual players are that great, but when they are combined like that, they all just work incredibly hard and they just love it. Like, you just know that they absolutely love playing for their country, and it's like the fans love it. There's just passion everywhere. So I think they will probably have enough. Iran didn't look good at all against us. But they are ranked quite high, aren't they? They're like ranked 20th or something. But I mean, the rankings don't really mean too much anyway.
I mean, Belgium are second on the rankings. Do they look like the second best team in the world?
No. So I think, even though I don't think Wales are that good, I think they always have enough to like scrape like 1-0 win or something like that, because they've got Bale, who just always comes up clutch. So I think they will scrape it like a 1-0.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. I mean, we're all back in the home nations to do well here. Just to graze over to the other few games that I think are worth mentioning as well. France-Denmark, boys. Zeke, I'll start with you. That's a big one. Denmark historically also beat France in the Nations League twice, I believe, as well, in recent times. So what do you think? Where does that one go in?
I was sort of pre-tournament, I was backing Denmark to do quite well. I think in the first match they were quite slow and they weren't really offering much. But I don't think they'll be like that this time. But also I think that they won't quite have enough, which is quite annoying, because I think all of us now love them, just obviously because of what actually happened last in the Euros. It was, I think they are one of these teams that everyone loves. But no, I think that France will have too much ready for them. But I think Denmark will score. So it probably, I'll say 3-1, and Mbappe will, run riot up top, like like he always does, and they will definitely win the game.
Yeah, it's a fair shout. I mean, Sam, do you agree? Do you think that Deschamps is going to get his revenge on Denmark for the two sort of beatings that he's received at the hands of Denmark and in the Nations League as of late? You know, they weren't great performances from France. So do you think that he can finally get one over on them?
I think it's going to be very, very interesting because, like I mentioned earlier with France, there's a lot of star power in that team, but how well they gel. Obviously, they did very well to sort of bond together and come back against Australia. But with respect to Australia, that is only Australia, and obviously Denmark pose a very different challenge. Denmark, I think, is similar to Wales in the sense that they all play for each other, especially what happened last year, wasn't it? It's incredible to think, by the way, that Eriksen has made such a quick recovery back to the World Cup. It's
crazy.
Amazing.
Absolutely crazy.
But I think 2-1 Denmark.
Oh, he's been brave.
Headed there first.
Very interesting. Use of Paulson for the brace, yeah? Fair play.
Get Bender out back.
Get him in there. We'll go for what was his name? He played at Barcelona now. His name's eluded me.
Braithwaite,
that's it. Yeah,
don't know how he
Martin
flew that move.
Yeah, no idea. His agent's an absolute mastermind. Sani, what are you calling in France-Denmark? Big game for Denmark to get back on track in this group, really.
Yeah, I mean, boys have absolutely, nailed it. I mean, I don't know about 2-1 Denmark, though, because France... The thing with France, right, in these tournaments, they do tend to turn up in most games, especially nowadays, especially now that they've got their players in their, in the system. I mean, some of their players are in their prime. I mean, Griezmann, I think, was amazing against. I know it's only Australia.
He's enjoying a little bit of a renaissance, Griezmann. Especially since returning to Atletico Madrid.
He always
100%. Yeah,
such a good player, and I'm intrigued to see what France actually play formation-wise because they were very expansive against Australia, and Australia did have a few chances. To be fair, I don't think they will be as expensive as against Denmark. I mean, Zeke mentioned in the Nations League, Denmark beat them a few times. I mean, 2-1 Denmark. That's what Sam reckons. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a draw. I think it'll be 1-1, which is fine because that means France are on 4 points, Denmark on 2. Who do France play last? Tunisia. That'll be an interesting game, and then Denmark play Australia. It means both teams will go through, but it'll be interesting because a lot of people were thinking, oh yeah, Denmark might finish top of that group, which means that Denmark will face who would they face? Maybe Poland or Mexico in the second round, and then France would play Argentina. But the way it's looking, I think France will finish top, and they might end up playing Argentina if Argentina finish second in their group. So let's see what happens in that game against France Denmark. A lot riding on it for sure.
Sorry, I have a bit of a thing there. Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair shout. It's definitely going to be an interesting game to see what happens with Denmark, especially with their performances of late. They're a very pressing heavy team. They're a very hard team to play against, and they've got players in there that really cause problems. Eriksen, Højbjerg at the back. They've got likes of Christensen, Schmeichel. Up top they've got Braithwaite, who's a menace in himself. And even I'm not sure if Damsgaard made the squad actually. Can't remember if he did.
Injured.
But yeah, anyhow, one game we mentioned earlier as well, which is a big one, Portugal versus Uruguay. We were very underwhelmed by Uruguay. I mean, Sani definitely wasn't. We'll kickstart with you, Sani. Uruguay-Portugal, huge game for Uruguay now to get some points up. Well, get 3 points on the board. I mean, they didn't obviously lose today, but given how bad the performance was, it's emphatic for them to get, something out of this game for sure if they want to get through to the next round. Where do you think this goes?
It's another very, very good game. A lot riding on it as well, because whoever finishes second in this group will face the winner of Brazil's group, who will most likely be Brazil. So realistically, whichever team loses from this will probably end up facing Brazil. I mean, no disrespect to Ghana or South Korea, because, one of them could also finish second as well. But the thing is, Uruguay have a bit more leeway this game, because if they avoid defeat, they've obviously got a good chance. If they draw, I think they'll progress. If they lose, the funny thing is they've still got a chance. But in a poetic way, I think Portugal are going to win this game. I think they'll win 2-0. I don't think Uruguay, I mean, after that first game, I'm not confident with them whatsoever. Dark horse bet's gone outside the window, this window particularly. I think it'll be 2-0. And what will be interesting is Uruguay's final game. I know it's only Matchday 2 we're talking about, but their final game is against Ghana. Now, we all know what happened in the 2010 World Cup against Ghana, so that is quite poetic if you ask me. But I think Portugal 2-0. Portugal romp on into the last 16. So, it'd be funny because Luis Suarez was the guy that did that handball on the line. be quite funny.
Yeah, ironic.
Reason, well, not the reason, but one of the reasons his ineffectiveness is one of the reasons why Uruguay exit the the group stage.
Iñaki Williams to get revenge and do it back to him to steal the win for Uruguay.
I think Portugal are going to win that 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, time to agree. Sam, what do you think? Do you think Portugal will ease their way through that?
I think so. Firstly, I am absolutely giddy for that Uruguay-Ghana game because I thought it was the first game. I was disappointed when it wasn't the first group game. And the fact that it's last as well, there could be so much riding on that. So I want to see... Listen, I'm sure Suarez, racism and cannibalism aside, I'm sure he's a lovely guy. But I would quite like to see his legs get snapped by some Ghanaian centre-back. But... focusing on Portugal, I think they'll breeze it. I was so disappointed with Uruguay, partly because I had Nunes to score in a £5 free bet. He didn't do so. Absolutely mugged me off. As we're on the topic of gambling, this World Cup is going to run me into the ground. This YouTube channel is slowly going to dissolve. But Portugal, I think they're going to breeze the group. I think that they are going to smash Uruguay even more confidently than 2-0. I think I'm going to go for 3-0. I'll one-up you. But, I'm just not massively impressed with Uruguay. An ageing squad. There's a slight influx of youth, obviously, with the likes of Darwin Núñez, but I don't think he's quite ready enough. He hasn't been blowing the Premier League away, let alone the world stage. But I think they'll be absolutely fine. And I think it could potentially even be Ghana or South Korea who make it in second. I don't fancy Uruguay at all. Bold.
Damn. Zeke, you got the question there. Can Portugal breeze their way through Uruguay, or the old dogs like Caceres and Godin roll back into life once more? They got one last bite in them.
Yeah, I don't think they do. I think that Portugal will be fine. I think that Uruguay need to actually win the game, but I don't think that they actually will. I didn't actually realise how old a lot of them are. When I actually looked, I was thinking, they've got Valverde and Bentancur. I thought, oh, nice, and then it sort of stops.
It just stops.
There's not much else. So no, I think Portugal will probably breeze it, and then maybe Uruguay won't even make it through. So I mean, I don't think it'll be 3-0. I'll say 2-0.
So yeah, you've all gone for revenge on the 2018 World Cup. Zeke says they're going to take the old dogs out the back and put them at their misery. Damn. Heartbreak. Old Yeller. That's the tale that I was thinking of. Old Yeller. I mean, who do you guys think is going to stand out on Matchday 2 individually wise? I'll start with you, Sam. Who do you think is going to really step up and shine as a player on Matchday 2?
Oh, you throw me under the bus here. Who is gonna?
I'm gonna wear it. We're going for a
You're relaxing too much right down there.
Yeah, I know. Right, who's playing who? Oh, do you know what? We're gonna go for Depay because if he's fit, I pulled that one right out of the bag. Depay it's just come to me out of nowhere. I think if he's fit, if he starts, I think, to be fair, he is what the Netherlands need. That's what they were missing in their first game, was someone who can put the ball in the back of the net. Obviously, they scored 2, but they didn't look that convincing in front of goal. I think he could potentially be the guy for that. So I am going to go for Depay. I hope you guys have thought of a better answer.
Go on, Zeke. Who do you expect to shine on Matchday 2?
I'm going to go for Musiala.
Like it.
Good show.
I think that he is going to be key to them actually winning this match, because did we say it is against Spain, right?
Yes, yeah.
So I think he is going to be key, and if they are actually going to win this, then I think it will be up to him to actually pull the strings. And I think that he is actually going to. He is young, isn't he? How old is he?
19, I believe.
19. Yeah, that's just But yeah, I actually really, really like him. He is basically like Muller's replacement, isn't he? And And yeah, I would definitely back him to put on a really good performance in this next match.
So Zeke's going for a battle of the young studs between Musiala, Pedri, and Gavi, and it's Spain versus Germany. What about you, Sonny? Who are you expected to shine like a diamond, bright like a diamond, like Rihanna says?
I want to be cliche. I've got an Argentina Messi shirt on. It has to be Messi. It's a massive game for Argentina. This is because, like I said, there could be a scenario whereby, let's say they lose this game, they're out of the World Cup. Especially, if
it's not an easy game. Mexico's not an easy game. Big up the boys.
It's never an easy game. Mexico always turn up in the World Cup, and group stage. Knockouts is a different question for the Mexicans, but in the group stages, they're always game. They beat your boys Germany last World Cup as well. I think Messi. It's written for Messi to turn up this game. He did it last World Cup against Nigeria, where they needed a performance from him, and he pulled it out the bag, got him out of that game. They're going to need him again for this World Cup game because it's massive. Mexico are always game. And if he turns up, then I think Argentina's, the motions are going to be going for them in that team of theirs, because I think all they need is one performance, because they're a very hit and miss team sometimes, Argentina. Sometimes they'll be very, very poor, and sometimes they'll be amazing. And I think they just need that one performance to just get them going, because all I can say is if they finish second in this group, I would not want to be facing France. So Messi, for me, is going to be that star that will be shining bright like a diamond, as you just said, like Rihanna.
Well, he's closed us off there. He's gone for the old guard. One last big showing for Messi. Could it be the one? Who knows? But appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Dropped a comment, especially to Dawn here, who's also dropped 10 quid lining Sam's pocket.
I was just going to say, Auntie Dawn, thank you so much. I love you very, very much. She's from your neck of the woods, up in Birmingham. So
we love you, Dawn. We love you, Auntie Dawn. We love you.
Unlucky being from Birmingham. Very unlucky indeed. But that's all we've got time for. We've taken up enough of your time on this evening. I want to say a big shout out to Zeke, who stepped in for us. Big shout out to Sani and Sam as well. You'll see more of them. But for now, take care. Catch you in a bit. Peace.
Love you guys. Take care.